Hillsborough County has launched its redesigned website, hcfl.gov. The new domain boasts a variety of improvements to searchability, page layout, navigation, and website speed. The revamped website features robust search functions, making it easier for users to find the information they need, whether searching for essential government services, paying water bills, accessing event information, learning how to acquire a new trash can, or identifying evacuation zones. The enhanced search functionality ensures quick access to relevant content. HCFL.gov's new design features a clean, modern, and intuitive layout. The streamlined design enhances user-friendliness for easy navigation and access to important resources. Navigating the website is now more straightforward than ever. Users can seamlessly move between different sections, departments, and services while interacting with information and resources. Ready to see what all the fuss is about? Head to hcfl.gov and discover your best source for all things Hillsborough County.
Hey, would you do me a favor? Grab your phone or smart device and open up that camera. Then point it right here at the QR code. Do you have it? I'll wait a second. When you see the link pop up on your screen, give it a tap. You ready? Boom! Welcome to the Hillsborough County official YouTube channel. We've got all sorts of videos here, all about what makes our community such an awesome place. From local events and community highlights to what's in the perfect Cuban sandwich. We've got it all. We're always adding new things, so while you're here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss a new video. Here's that QR code again, just in case you missed it. Go ahead and check it out. Ooh. This must have fallen out of that video. This really is the perfect Cuban sandwich.
Let's all properly recycle. Let's all properly recycle. Let's all properly recycle. Leave out the plastic bags.
You may think plastic bags can be recycled curbside, but they can't. When you put recyclables in a plastic bag, it gets tangled in the sorting machine and ruins recycling. Let's all properly recycle.
Let's all properly recycle. Let's all properly recycle. Let's all properly recycle. Leave out the plastic bags.
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, February 13, 2024 regularly scheduled land use meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with thanksgiving and praise. And we just pray for every one of the commissioners here and every staff member here at the Hillsborough County, Lord, for wisdom and knowledge that we make the right choices and we will all be a blessing to your people of Hillsborough County. And we just bless this meeting in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Before I pass things over to Mr. Grady to read the changes, can we have a roll call to establish a quorum? Commissioner Kemp is participating virtually this morning.
Good morning. Hagan.
Here.
Cameron Cepeda.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
Kemp. Here. Myers.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Wostel.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grady, you want to review the any continuances and changes?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. We do have a few changes on the addendum, and I'll go through this first, and then I'll go through the published withdrawals, continuances, and remands beginning on page 3 as part of the changes. First change is on page 10, item E1, special use application LE 23-0498. Additional party records have been added to the backup. The second change is also to item E1, LE 23-0498. The applicant is additional condition is being offered by the applicant in response to community comments and concerns, and specifically condition 4, an additional requirements being added to basically the applicant shall submit annually on the anniversary date of the operating permit a cross-section survey showing the current depth of existing land excavations on the subject property and the slope of the slides and depth of the water, if any. The next change is also on page 10 of the agenda, item E3, special use application LE 23-1103. The agenda item was updated to correct the recommendation statement to indicate its approval subject to conditions. The final change is on page 12, item G1B, DRI 23-0335. Again, the agenda item was updated to correct the number of the item G1B to change it from G1A to G1B. Those are the changes, and I'll go through the published withdrawals and continuances and remands beginning on page 3 of the agenda. Item A1, rezoning PD 18-0996. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A2, rezoning PD 22-1390. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A4, PRS 23-0210. This application has been continued by the applicant as a matter of right to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A3, DRI 23-0195. This application has been continued by the applicant as a matter of right to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A6, PRS 23-0767. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A7, PRS 23-0838. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the April 9th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A8, PRS 23-0877. The staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A5, DRI 23-0591. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A9, PRS 24-0027. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A10, PRS 24-0064. This application is continued by the applicant as a matter of right to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A11, PRS 24-0102. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A12, PRS 24-0104. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A13, PRS application 24-0112. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A14, PRS 24-0219. This application will be continued by the applicant as a matter of right to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A15, rezoning standard 23-0714. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A16, vacation petition 22-0005. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting at 9 a.m. Item A17, vacation petition 22-0019. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting at 9 a.m. And item A18, vacation petition 23-0011. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the March 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting at 9 a.m. That concludes all changes and continuances.
Move changes.
Got a motion for the changes.
Second.
Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote. Changes the agenda.
Kemp. Yes. Hagan.
I'm a yes. I'm unable to pull it up here, though.
Oh. Motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. Now, can we have a motion to approve the consent?
So moved.
Motion to approve consent, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Owen. Please record your vote.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, this time, if you're here for a B item, your application has been approved. This time, if you're planning on testifying today, will you please stand, raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
Good morning. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Grady, on the E portion of the agenda, I'd like to introduce the first item.
The first item, Commissioners, is application special use LE 23-0498. This is a request for a special use land excavation permit for a 300-acre parcel located on the north side of Loose Lake Fern Road. Michelle Heinrich will provide a brief staff presentation of staff recommendation before we hear from the applicant.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. This is application special use land excavation 23-0498. This parcel is zoned AR. It's currently 300 acres approximately in size, and it's located on the north side of Lutz Lake Fern Road, west of the Suncoast Parkway. This site has been used for excavation since 2006, with renewals in 2010 and 2015. This request is to excavate approximately 1.9 million cubic yards of material until February 2034. The site was previously approved to excavate 3.3 million cubic yards, and that permit was finalized or expired in December of 2021. This will provide additional time to excavate the remaining material, which we stated is 1.9 million cubic yards, and that will be for an expiration time of February 2034. There is no change in the location of the excavation areas, no increase in the area to be excavated, no change to the depths of the excavation, no change to the setbacks, and screening will continue to be provided along the north and the west. And these setbacks are as those approved in 2015. At the filing of our staff report, we received no agency objections, and we therefore found the site to be approvable and meeting the LDC regulations. I'm available for any questions you have.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Commissioners, before we hear from the applicant, I just want to note for the record that we did receive a late file comment from the school board regarding the condition addressing hauling in front of the school. The current conditions provide for allowance for hauling on Loose Lake in front of the school 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after school hours. The school board filed an objection to that restriction, requesting no hauling along Loose Lake Fern Road. Therefore, again, we've not addressed that in our staff report because it was late filed, but I believe staff with the school board is here if you have any questions, and I believe the applicant may be wanting to respond to that as part of their presentation also. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. Jim Porter with Ackerman, 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa. I'm here representing the applicant. I am not here representing the school board, and I want to make that very clear. That will be addressed separately. The application before you today, as Michelle Heinrich said, is really a continuation of an approval that was last granted in 2015. The approval today will allow the rest of the original application to be continued and to be finalized. We do have recommendations of approval from the staff. We have a finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan by the Planning Commission, and the Environmental Protection Commission has issued no objections. As Ms. Heinrich said, there's no change from the location or the size from the 2015 approval. Before I introduce you to our professional team here, which is Jeremy Couch and Celeste Lau, who are project engineers, and Kenneth Jones, who's our geologist and hydrologist, I think it's important to take a step back and recognize what this application is about. It's really to create fill dirt for infrastructure projects. You can't have roadway projects without fill dirt. And this site has produced dirt for projects with the Tampa Airport, with the Lutz Lake Fern Interchange, and other projects in Hillsborough County. Fill dirt is one of the most expensive aspects of any infrastructure project. And the closer you have it to the site or the projects, the less expensive it is, the better it is for the environment, and the better it is for the roadway district. The only real change here, is that you'll hear later, is that the haul route is going to be more restrictive than it was when it was approved in 2015. Board members, this application has received an enormous amount of scrutiny, both from your staff and from the public. In fact, it's been continued several times to make sure we got it right. Staff has really held our feet to the fire on this project, but we agree with all the staff conditions, and they're extensive. We understand there's opposition to this, and we understand this isn't always a popular use, but it's a critically important use if you want to deal with transportation issues in Hillsborough County and the surrounding counties. When the application or the permit expired in 2015, we actually looked at alternatives to this because we know not everybody likes the idea of a land excavation site. So we actually filed a rezoning for a planned development to allow a high-end RV park. But because of the Keystone Odessa plan and the way it addresses density, that just wasn't feasible. We've also looked at single-family residential developments. Again, it's really not feasible at this site. This is not a permanent use. This is an opportunity to create fill dirt, to provide infrastructure projects, and at the end of it, there'll be another use for it. It's a beautiful piece of property with a beautiful lake, beautiful environmental features, and we really hope that this board will look at that and grant the application today. We're very close to the Suncoast Parkway, so from a haul route perspective, we have to leave the site and get on that expressway. We're not allowed to go past that, and we'll talk about that condition a little bit later. I want to emphasize, we have a finding of compatibility by your staff and a finding of consistency from the Planning Commission. And the Environmental Protection Commission, the agency in Hillsborough County responsible for monitoring environmental concerns, has no objection to this. I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Couch, who will go through the technical aspects of this. We reserve any extra time for rebuttal, but we respectfully ask for your approval on this project. Thank you, Commissioners.
Hi, we have Jeremy Couch with Tampa Civil, 17937 Hunting Bow Circle, Lutz 33558, and we have a PowerPoint. Thank you very much. Great. Commissioners, thank you for your time today. This is our team, as Mr. Porter stated. As he also stated, this has been operated as a land excavation site since 2006. It was approved for 3.3 million yards. 1.3 has been excavated to this point, 1.9 remain. The question is, why since 2006 have you not fulfilled the excavation? The applicant does not keep this sand mine open on a daily basis. He only opens it and sells when he has large orders. So if there is not a large project, the excavation site is not open for use. People don't come in daily for 1 truck, 2 trucks. It really has not had any substantial orders since 2019. So just kind of want to put that in perspective. We want to extend the application so that the material is here, so that in the event the county does have, or there are other infrastructure projects in the area that are worthy of requiring the material, it's available and doesn't have to be trucked all the way in from South County. This is the location. You can kind of see where the site is. The access to the property is on the far west side, and the interchange to the Suncoast Expressway is about a half mile to the east. That's our haul route. You come out of the site, you go east, you have to go north or south from there. This is our special use plan. Again, as Michelle and Jim stated, we haven't changed since the last renewal. These are the depths and the areas of the cell. The depths vary just based on material. The clay is located at the depths shown. Clay is not a marketable material. The people who purchase materials from this location are looking for sand. Also want to point out about compatibility to the neighbors, because that's really a hot topic with these type of projects. What is the screening like? The screening the setbacks were approved in 2015, 250 feet from the northern property line, 150 feet from the western property line. And I'm going to show you what our existing screening looks like. So on the northern property line, there is a 20-foot tall berm, trees planted. There's also a shorter berm with a fence, and I have some videos to kind of show you guys what this really looks like. You can kind of see this on the plan. This is looking from the north south to the existing lake. So this is a drone photo, probably 50 feet in the air. This is ground level, looking north. You can see that you can't see the neighborhood to the north. Again, looking north. This is a video. Can you hit play on the video, please? So there is a right-of-way, an unimproved right-of-way between this property and the Pasco County line. This video is taken from that right-of-way looking south. You can see the trees. You can see the berm in the background. The trees and the berm block any fugitive dust, block any noise. It's like it's not even there. Just want to give you an idea of what the screening really looks like and why we're asking for the waivers. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide. Western buffer, very similar situation. Large berm, trees behind the berm between the larger lots to the west, aerial view. This looks from the west to the east. And again, the excavation will expand the size of this lake. That's what the request is. Okay, and this is another video. If you could hit play, please. And this is a drone video from the inside of the property at 6 foot looking west. If you look at the site plan, the excavation would occur west towards the berm. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Transportation, Michael Razor provided transportation expertise for the team. Design exception was submitted to county engineer and found approvable. An administrative variance for connection spacing was submitted to the county engineer, found approvable. Again, there is no change to the access from the original access approved in 2006 and reapproved in 2015. In conclusion, staff's found the site in the application consistent and approvable, and we ask for your approval. Thank you.
Board members, that concludes our presentation. We'll reserve any time for rebuttal, and again, ask for your approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Proponent testimony? Anyone here in support of the application? Okay, opponent testimony? You have a total of 15 minutes. Good morning.
Good morning. I would like to inform you that we have a coordinated presentation with 5 speakers coming after me, 4 after me. I'm Clara Lawhead, 7340 Colley Road. I serve as the president of the Keystone Civic Association, which voted unanimously to ask you to deny approval of the special use request. KCA represents over 25,000 residents and has historically opposed the excavation in the Borrow Creek watershed. The Keystone Civic Association continues to ask the board to uphold the Keystone Community Plan. This application is not consistent with the basic tenets of the plan, which state that Keystone will continue to be a rural community and that it values nature above commercialization. Most importantly, it includes standards to achieve compatibility between uses in the Keystone area. This borrow pit use has demonstrated over the past 13 years that it is not consistent with the rural pattern of land use in the Keystone area. It does not value nature above commercialization, and it's not compatible with surrounding land uses. Policy 1.4 of the future land use element states the compatibility is defined as uses which can be located adjacent to each other in harmony. There's no one in this community that would attest to harmony between this quiet residential neighborhood and the industrial type impacts of a borrow pit. Noise, odor, dust, road damage, and truck traffic have all had significant impacts on this low-density community. For this and many reasons which will be discussed by our 4 other presenters, the applicant before you should be denied. Staff has not provided adequate protection for the neighborhood in their draft conditions. There are far too many conditions as submitted that are objectionable. The condition for the haul route allowing dump trucks to go west on Lutz Lake Fern Road are too unclear and lack enforceability. The excessive violations over 16 years indicate a serious lack of responsibility by the owner and enforceability by government agencies. Allowing the excavation to continue for almost a quarter of a century is unacceptable. Trucks from this project have placed an unbelievable burden on the community. Aside from the volume of truck traffic, they've created significant damage to the roads in the community. Over the years the pit was in operation, the total number of truck trips associated with this excavation has resulted in approximately 61,000 truck trips through the community and on our county roadways. In 2021, a comparable excavation petition, SU 21-1224, was filed. The applicant proposed to extend the expiration date by 10 more years and request waivers to the Land Development Code. The Planning Commission recommendation found it inconsistent, and Development Services recommended was not supported. Further, staff found that the proposed special use was inconsistent with the future Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan for unincorporated Hillsborough. As noted by county staff, the previous operation on the site had not done the due diligence to protect the wetlands. This proposal was inconsistent with the environmental sustainability section of the comprehensive plan. Why is this application consistent now, but inconsistent in 2021? Now, 16 years later, after 2008, the owner is asking for an additional 10 years and significant waivers. This represents almost a quarter of a century of adverse cumulative impacts on this community and its character. This property is in a wetland protection area and adjacent to ELAP property. The wildlife and wetland destruction, multiple violations, noise, dust, and heavy hauling trucks on 2-lane rural roads is unjustifiable and unreasonable. This is a moral issue, and this hazard must end now. Borrow pits are meant to be temporary uses, not permanent. We strongly urge you to deny the special use. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ethel Hammer. My address is 19825 Angel Lane, My property is immediately adjacent to the Dibbs Borrow Pit. I represent my neighbors on Barry Acres Trail, Angel Lane, and other homes within the neighborhood. For years, we have experienced constant noise from heavy construction equipment, dust that blows into our homes, pools, and lanais, and the pungent smell from decaying organic peat that was permitted to be stored on the site. Some of my neighbors have no visual screening from all this heavy activity. The video the applicant showed only demonstrated where they were providing screening. Truck traffic on Angel Lane goes unregulated by the Sheriff's Department, who states they do not enforce the county's truck route map or the conditions of special use approvals. It is not their purview. What has not been considered is what has changed in this neighborhood since the last approval in 2008. Number one, the Suncoast Trail now crosses Lutz Lake Fern Road only about a quarter of a mile from the entrance to the Borrow Pit. At the time of the original approval, there was no trail crossing on Lutz Lake Fern Road. Number two, the entire school complex was built about a mile to the east. Number three, traffic volumes on Lutz Lake Fern Road have substantially increased from around 6,000 trips a day to over 10,000 trips a day now, increasing the potential for serious conflict on a two-lane rural road with no paved shoulders. Lutz Lake Fern Road now experiences 650 trips in the AM peak hour and over 900 trips in the PM peak hour when the Borrow Pit is going to be in operation. Most importantly, number four, many new homes have been built to the east and to the west. Property owners and developers relied on the expiration date of the permit and built their homes or their new subdivisions. Another 10 years would result in this pit impacting hundreds of new homes that didn't exist when this pit was approved in 2008. The staff's conditions of approval are lacking in specificity and enforcement. The conditions lack adequate buffering and screening to protect adjacent property owners, and there is no condition for secure fencing on the property. This request must be denied. We do not want our living environment disrupted for another 10 years, for a total of 23 years. Mr. Dibbs had the opportunity to complete the digging during the first 10 years of his permit, but he chose not to. He has another reasonable use of his property. The Keystone community has encouraged him for many years to develop the property with a large lot subdivision, which would be compatible with surrounding land use pattern and be consistent with the comprehensive plan. We ask the board to deny this and to ensure that only a compatible use is approved on the property. You will see that over 128 letters in opposition are in optics, including letters from the Lutz Civic Association and the Sierra Club. Is this the right location for a Borrow Pit now?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Adam Hollifield, and I live at 19921 Cypress Bridge Drive in Odessa. I'm the Vice President of the Terramore Homeowners Association. I'm here on behalf of myself, my family, as well as 198 other property owners within Terramore. Terramore is a subdivision which directly borders the parcel to the east. Terramore subdivision is against the special use approval, as it will have direct impacts on noise and dust to our common areas, as well as neighbors' homes who directly back up to this property. Terramore is zoned for Martinez Middle School and Steinbrenner High School and does not have a bus service due to the proximity to the schools. Many of our school-age children walk to school along Lutz Lake Fern Road. Our school-age children have to cross 6 crosswalks to get to school, 4 of which are on the Suncoast within the approved truck route. Included in the record is a full list of the swift mode violations that the applicant has had in connection with the ERP permit previously issued. This information was obtained from a swift mode public records request. In 2008, work began before the ERP permit was issued. In 2013, work continued even though the ERP permit had expired. 8 drainage structure violations causing turbid water to enter the wetlands. Some instances took 3 months or more to repair. Multiple instances of damage to monitoring wells during construction that went unreported. Finally, and most importantly, SwiftMud has not been able to complete a site inspection since 2019 due to the site being closed and locked. The current SwiftMud ERP permit expires August 14th of this year. In addition, the applicant has also had several violations of the previously issued Hillsborough County special use and operating permits. Several violations of dumping mulch and peat used for fill in violation of the special use permit. 6 different violations for failure to clean a fuel spill, inadequate site reclamation, and missing silt screens. In 2015, an independent group of citizens conducted an investigation into the status of the project's compliance with the conditions of its special use approval. It was confirmed by staff at that time that the conditions on the listing were not met by the applicant subsequent to the 2008 approval. In 2023, there was removal of vegetation and protected trees in the portion of the property designated as a significant upland wildlife habitat. Failure to maintain Lutz Lake Fern Road. Lutz Lake Fern Road was not repaired by the applicant until a significant neighborhood requests and reports were made to the county. Finally, and most recently, in October 2023, the applicant was cited for exceeding the depth of the pit up to 9 feet, based beyond what he was permitted to do. Additionally, hauling mulch and other fill onto the property without an active permit. In conclusion, the applicant has shown a behavior of disregard for both county and state conditions when it comes to operating a borrow pit within the confines set by the special use operating permit. How can the applicant be trusted to comply with any of the conditions put in the special use permit before you today? Based on the past behavior of the applicant, the neighborhood fully expects the violations to continue if this use is approved. The burden of reporting these violations has historically fallen onto the community. We have to watch and report the dump trucks lining up on Lutz Lake Fern Road, Angel Lane, operating times of day, truck route violations, etc. Please do not subject the neighborhood to 10 more years of digging, dust, construction noise, and dump truck traffic. Thank you for your time.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ben Collier. I live at 16631 Nicky Lane, Odessa. I'm here to bring to your attention this morning that the Hillsborough County has received a letter of objection to the special use request from the Board of Directors of the Ivy Lake Estates Homeowners Association. Our HOA represents 551 homes, and we are located directly adjacent to the subject property. Contrary to what you heard earlier today, we have endured negative impacts of the noise and the dust for 13 years now from the previous special use permit. And we will now again be directly affected by this new permit if it's allowed, especially with this setback of 250 instead of the 500. Just briefly, one of the aerial videos you saw, you had roofs in the front of the video where they were shooting from. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Amy Marie Granger Welch, 3321 Westmoreland Ave. I'm the president of the Hillsborough County Council, PTA. We urge you to oppose land excavation application LE 230498. The proposal to excavate 1.9 million cubic yards near Lutz Lake Fern Road poses a grave danger to our children. To put it into perspective, that's roughly 190,000 dump trucks potentially near our schools. Imagine the disruption to our roads and the increased danger to car lanes, walkers, and cyclists who don't even have sidewalks to get there. The applicant's proposal to restrict truck travel times near the school complex is simply inadequate. While they claim to minimize risk by scheduling hauls outside of school hours, they fail to consider the countless after-school activities that keep our children on the roads well into the evening. The potential for conflict between large dump trucks and our inexperienced young drivers is an accident waiting to happen. A 30-minute restriction before and after school is insufficient and short-sighted. We urge the board to prioritize safety and reject this hazardous project. Our children's safety is paramount. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in opposition? If not, the applicant, oh, one more. You have minute 6.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. I came down here to support being against this because I don't know if you guys understand this or not, but the development of children's brains is not complete until they're 24 years old. That's why we have to be broken records telling them, don't walk out in front of cars, don't do this, don't do that 100,000 times a day, which makes it dangerous for them to put these trucks on the road. I find it hard to believe that this gentleman has asked for a special use. I never come here. I live at City Council. But I'm going to tell you right now that this development looks shady, and these homeowners have the same rights as this guy who's asking for this special use. He's been a terrible neighbor for 25 years. Why would you renew it? Makes no sense to me. If you had to live next door, how would you feel about it?
I thank you, ma'am. This time, applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. Just a few points I want to hit, and then Jeremy's going to get into some technical details. I want to bring you back to, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Your decision needs to be based on competent substantial evidence. We've provided that through our expert testimony with our project engineer. Your staff's reports are a competent substantial evidence. They specifically found this is compatible under your land development code. Your planning commission has found that this is consistent with the comp plan. We don't have any objections from any reviewing agencies, including the Environmental Protection Commission. You need to focus on that. We understand the opposition. We understand their feelings, but this is a quasi-judicial legal proceeding that you need to base on your land development code. Again, we've met all the criteria in your land development code, specifically 611.54, and the finding of compatibility is key in this case because that is something that legally is required in this case. I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Couch now to address some of the specific issues, and then we'll close up.
Commissioners, thank you. I'm going to speak quickly. We stated in the presentation and the conditions of approval that no trucks will be allowed to go west. That's a change. They will now have to go east only. Regarding the Suncoast Trail crossing, there's an actual signal. So I've ridden that trail myself many times on my bicycle. You hit the button, cars stop, you cross the road. The projection in the traffic study assumed more trips, but actually the county's level of service report said that the traffic on Lutz Lake Fern has gone down since 2015. So that's in the county's published level of service report. Well, it's what's published. Thank you. 5-acre lots this close to an interstate when the lots in Ivy Lake States to the north are 5,000 square feet average and Terramore to the east are 10,000 square foot average is an unreasonable request. This applicant has come before previous boards and asked for a suburban style subdivision and it has been denied constantly. Terramore, I'm glad they love their community. All of the dirt that did not come out of the ponds in Terramore came from this site. The subdivision would not be there and they would not know their neighbors if it wasn't for this property. The depth of the mine. Yes, there were pockets where the applicant went a little deeper for the sand. What they didn't say is that on the north side of the site, he went shallower than he was allowed. He didn't dig the clay out just because it said it on the on the plans. It followed the depth of the sand. We addressed that with staff. Our professional geologist is here if you have any questions. He's submitted a detailed report that shows that there are no issues with what was done. Wetlands. This property has had extreme scrutiny from the EPC. The EPC has came out and walked transects within the existing wetlands. It's a process called the WAP. They do this every few years because they can tell if long-term impacts are occurring by a change in vegetation. Mike Thompson, who is retired, and Rick Berry walked this site and found that there were no impacts whatsoever to the surrounding wetlands. The mulch. The mulch that was brought in, the applicant was on the understanding that he could continue to improve and maintain the berms. He brought mulch in, found out that his permit had expired, applied for a new permit immediately. There was a statement of swift mud violations. That's categorically incorrect. These were deficiencies found on inspection. There's a big difference from somebody walking to the site and saying, "Sir, please fix your silt fence. Sir, there's some erosion." They send you a note, applicant does it immediately. These are not violations. There were no consent order cases submitted, and you can see that the applicant did it immediately. And that's it. Here for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we'll go into a board discussion. I'll make a couple of comments. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Well, Commissioner Wilson, would you like to go first?
I want to hear other people's thoughts. We've been particularly sensitive to this community that advocates for maintaining a rural environment. And I want to make sure, Mr. Gormley, that is this pit, I'm unfamiliar with borrow pits, but you know, as a point of information, this board has heard a lot about home affordability. Well, this is one of the variables that goes into home affordability. The further that something has to go, it's also another reason that our roads in Hillsborough County seem to be more expensive than in other jurisdictions. It's because they have to truck things in further. So is this considered a normal, I've seen us do a pretty wide range of rural uses that I've seen us rezone into industrial things in East County that were considered agricultural. So is this something that we would consider a normal use for an agricultural rural zoning? Is this borrow pit?
Commissioner, yes, this is a use that is contemplated within the rural agricultural zoning districts. It does require a special use approval, which is why it's in this process, but they are uses that are contemplated to be in the rural area and in the ag zoning districts.
Okay, so I guess I just wonder if we've advocated, we've denied office, medical buildings, even recently for this community protector plan. It sounds like they've been denied single-family homes on this exact plot of land before. So if it's allotted for them to do this, and as we heard, some of the communities that are right near this area were built with this very dirt. I'm just confused are we going to take the position of saying no to everything in the community, I guess is my question and concern, if we're not willing to meet that they are doing an agricultural rural service in an agricultural rural zoned district. I mean, I want to continue to be sensitive to their community plan, but it sounds like we might be going a direction of we're just going to say no to everything, and I want to make sure I understand what we're doing.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gormley, I want to clear up, because I think it was the first speaker that had mentioned, and maybe this is for planning, mentioned some inconsistencies that were found in 2021. I assume because we're consistent now, maybe that was related to transportation. Could you touch on that real quick for me? Thanks.
Yes, for the record, Melissa Leinhardt, Planning Commission staff. I did look up that staff report, and based on the 2021 case, there were some objections filed from Natural Resources and from Transportation with Hillsborough County. So that was the basis for the Planning Commission's inconsistency at that time.
In that, is that safe to say that's been resolved in this situation?
Yes, I did not put testimony in for this, but it is part of the record. This request was found consistent with the comprehensive plan. It is in the agricultural rural 1 to 5 future land use category. This is a type of use that can be contemplated in that category, and it was fully reviewed by Planning Commission staff and found consistent and filed that way. Thank you.
Yeah, and could I have that gentleman? Yeah, I forget your name. I was actually wanting him behind you. Yeah. You had mentioned something earlier, and this is not my district. I represent South County. We have lots of excavation going on there. I don't have any school board letters saying that it's been interfering with any schools out there, and we do lots of excavation. You had mentioned that you don't want you wouldn't like to continue to truck dirt from South County throughout the rest of the county. Is that safe to say? Is that the alternative to this, that we would be trucking excavation dirt into all parts of the county from my district in particular?
Commissioner Jeremy Couch, at this point, I know of no approved borrow pits anywhere in northwest Hillsborough County. The approved borrow pits that I know of are on the Hernando County Pasco line, on 41 almost to Brooksville, and in southeast Hillsborough.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And I guess looking at the two, if you could just stay up here too, Mr. Gormley, looking at the difference between this permit and the request from the original request that's expired, can you do a quick just breakdown of what is the difference between the two? What is different in this scenario versus the other one? Because I know that the issue related to the school is different this time around. Could you just kind of touch on the difference between the two?
Yes, Commissioner, the significant difference is the time that they're requesting. Beyond that, the conditions are fairly the same, are pretty much the same as the original application. I believe that there is a berm on the western boundary that's required now of this application that was not previously in there. And 30 minutes before or after? Yes, and so they have changed some hours of operation and removed the Saturday excavation.
Okay, and just addressing real quick, and I'll let you answer to that too, because I want you to answer this along with it if you can. The issue related to the school, I look around there, I don't see you all doing lots of delivery, if you want to put it that way, in that area where the school is located. Could you touch on that real quick? And is there any possible way you as the applicant can maybe even extend some of those hours in the caution of extended safety if this permit is approved? Again, we have excavation in South County, and I've never received a letter from the school board on this, so this is unique. So I would like to overcompensate because I just don't see, I do see that there's a route that would be blocked off to make it extremely inconvenient to move dirt, but I don't see a lot of excavation delivery in this particular area other than an access road, basically. So could you touch on that real quick?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. One important change between the 15 approval and this request is that in the 15 approval, trucks were allowed to go west to Gun Highway. And that is not allowed in this request. That's been taken away. And so that's a huge point that I think is underappreciated. With regards to the schools to the east, we're talking about Steinbrenner and Martinez. Those schools are located on the east side of the expressway. So if a truck delivery were to come out of here, they come out, they go west. The only driveway they pass two driveways. They pass the trail crossing where there's a signal, and they pass Terramore, but Terramore does not have a left out. They have to go make a U-turn. So there's no direct conflict that someone would be making a eastbound left out of Terramore and be in conflict with a truck. From there, the trucks have to get directly onto the Suncoast and go north or south. The challenge is going to be, and we're agreeable to the school board condition that they do not want us to go any further. The plan doesn't allow that. But I'm not sure how any sites in that area, if they need dirt for the ball field, how they're going to get it. I guess they'll have to come from South County and bring it all the way there. We want to be reasonable and do what's required, and the bulk of the orders are going to be somewhere along the expressway, going south by the airport to the roadway projects down near 60 in the airport.
Yeah, and it's hard to skin that cat because I don't want dirt being delivered from my district all the way in South County and moving heavy trucks all the way through the county when there's a borough pit much closer. So I'm going to sit back and it's not my district and listen to some of the other commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to address the comments that were made by the school board. Do we have any written letters from the school board in reference of this that can be read this morning, so we know what the school board has said on this issue?
We did, Commissioner, receive an email from the school district, and we do have a representative here. See, can you and read that letter? So, I know. Commissioner, I'm pulling the letter now. It was, I believe, very succinct. It was a communication from the school district on Thursday, February 8th. And what it reads is, Michelle, trucks may not travel to and from the site via an eastbound movement on Lutz Lake Fern Road beyond the Suncoast Parkway. At no time shall trucks traveling to or from the site be permitted to travel past McKittrick Elementary School, Martinez Middle School, or Steinbrenner High School. Traveling beyond the Suncoast Parkway extension will require trucks to travel south using Gun Road and Van Dyke Road, and only then when such deviation does not require a crossing of a designated truck route as defined within the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan other than the Suncoast Parkway. All such authorized deviations shall operate in accordance with the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan. And that was the communication that we received from the school district. And we do have a representative here if in the event you do want to ask additional questions.
Will the representative like to speak or say anything on behalf of the school board?
Michelle Orton, General Manager of Growth Management for Hillsborough County Public Schools, and I have been sworn in. Just a little bit of information, and I don't know if it's relevant or not, but when we first saw the language on this, it was that no trucks would be in front of these 3 schools. We later saw the language that it would be from 6:15 a.m. to 4:45 a.m. While classes were out of session, that they would not be, traveling there. And then the last note that we received, it would be 30 minutes before the first bell and 30 minutes after the last bell. The reason why we are against those times is because we have 3 different schools there. We have 3 different bell schedules there. So the very first bell we have is for the elementary school at 7:40. The very last bell we have there is for the high school at 3:25 with a lockup at 3:45. So if you just take those school bells into effect, it's 7:40 to 3:45. Oh, let's not forget, we have host program. This allows parents to drop off their students an hour earlier at 6:30 in the morning when there are no bells. Students also stay longer than 3:45. They have football practice, baseball practice, they have band, they have all of these other activities. We have parents' nights, we have all of these things that are going on at all times, not just during the day for when these bell schedules are happening. We also have things that go on the weekends. We also have things going on during summer break. Having these big trucks traveling up and down a road that has been redone, it looks very nice, to tear up the road. And the reason I'm saying that is because one of the conditions said that an off-duty sheriff's officer had to be on site also. If they needed that, if they need to have an off-duty sheriff, wouldn't that mean, these trucks are a little dangerous to have. Kids are riding their bikes to and from school. There's a bike path on each side of the road. So the school district is very, very concerned, and that's why we requested that the new comments be added to this case. And Mr. Couch came up to me, and that's the reason I didn't come up earlier, because he said that he was fine with our comments. So.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Mars, any other questions?
I've had my hand up for
Okay,
a time after, just want to have that
I'll
noted.
get you 1 second, Commissioner Kemp.
Sure.
Commissioner Myers, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask the civil engineer.
Okay.
So is this in compliance to working with the school board to make sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Commission, I completely misspoke a moment ago. I told you that we were not having any approval to go west to Gun Highway for any deliveries. There is a specific condition that allows certain deliveries to Pinellas County or things in that western area that are the thing that allow us to go west. I sincerely apologize. I thought that was removed, but that is still in here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kemp?
Thank you. I was going to ask about that going west because I didn't see, as far as I could tell, it had allowances for going west. This area has changed tremendously when this was first approved. Those schools have been built after that. There's been development around this after that. The original permit for this special use was given without the required 500-foot areas, the setbacks to protect the neighborhood and community there. There's already been 1.4 million cubic yards mined from this area over 15 years. What they're asking for is something actually that would be more intense with more, to 1.9 to be mined over a lesser period of time. And after hearing the testimony from the schools, as well as from the neighborhoods, I believe that the opponents have met the burden to demonstrate that this very special use should be denied. It's inconsistent with the surrounding area and the community plan. And I listened carefully to the testimony of each of those opponents. I've read as well what people have written in. They're knowledgeable about this borrow pit. They live with it. This is a special use. It's not supposed to be permanent. People said that they built and relied on it no longer existing at some period of time. I also found in particular the testimony about the school and the testimony that we just heard and the changes in the area during the lots very compelling. And so I'm going to make a move for a motion for denial at this time.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Kemp to deny. I'll pass the gavel to the Vice Chair and second the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, seconded by Commissioner Hagan. Is there any more board discussion?
Yeah, just one final point of information is, I just drove by Sumner High School, which is the most expensive, largest high school, I think, in Hillsborough County, which is surrounded by a ton of agriculture, which if it's not this using trucks, we're both friends with strawberry produce farmers and cattlemen. They have a ton of trucks that go in and out of those produce plants and facilities, also right beside a high school. So they have to pass by this school to get to any main highway right there on 301. So I guess I'm just confused about the precedence. Are we saying that any more truck usage near a high school is going forward? We're not going to allow for any agricultural use, which would further push the agriculture that we're saying and wishing would stay in Hillsborough County and stop leaving. It doesn't seem very black and white to me.
Commissioner Hagan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a few comments here. I listened intently to all the comments from everyone who spoke. First of all, I want to say I do think that Commissioner Owen and Commissioner Wilson made some excellent points, particularly the comment Commissioner Wilson made earlier about concerns with neighborhoods and this board, candidly, saying no to everything. And I know certainly at times I have felt that way. But, this was originally approved back in '06. But again, I want to point out, not by this board. And we should thank Commissioner White, former Commissioner White, back in 2021, who led the charge to change this special use permit process so that we could be the ultimate arbiter of borrow pits. In the past, we're the ones that hear from the public, yet all we could say was, well, we don't have any authority, doesn't come in front of us. So this process now, the fact that it changed, allows us to weigh in and speak directly to the issue. I understand that the usage is project driven, but the reality is the applicant had 15 years to excavate the area. To approve an additional 10 years, in my opinion, places a significant burden on the community. We've heard about environmental concerns. I know about previous violations and enforceability issues. Of course, you know, the school district's concerns should be highlighted. Like many schools, probably like most schools, the queuing and traffic on school days is a nightmare on Lutz Lake Fern. I do want to point out that, you know, Mr. Porter, the applicant, makes excellent points. This is a legal proceeding. It does have staff recommendations. Judging by the applicant's history, a denial will likely be legally challenged. But as we all recognize, Keystone is a beautiful area that we should fight to protect. And for me, that is more important than legal challenge concerns. I would have opposed this back in 2006, but again, we did not have the ability to do that. So what I would ask, though, the maker of the motion, if she doesn't mind including, just as part of the basis of denial, is including a couple of sections from the LDC, section 6.11.54B3E, and then also section 6.11.54C1 through 3 of the EDC that I think is relevant to any basis for denial, if Commissioner Kemp's okay with that.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I don't see anyone else in the queue, and I'll just make some final comments. Could I have the school board rep back up here that was up here before? If you could state your name again, please. I can't hear you.
Michelle Orton.
Okay, great. And I guess what I want to talk about is the school board's conclusion, which I completely understand, on moving big trucks near schools at any time of the day. But if we're moving trucks from, what kind of, I guess, studies or research has the school board done? If we're moving dirt from South County, okay, which is my district, all the way out to this area, because this area cannot traverse in this particular spot, what study has been done to say, okay, this is going to pass X amount of schools during the day from South County, which is a much longer distance? What research has the school board done? What have you all done to contemplate that type of trip through Hillsborough County to get over here?
I am not aware of any study as far as that goes. As far as Phil, we do that all the time. As you stated, we are now working on high school UUU, and we'll soon be working on another school in Plant City. But we don't have a study. We're just concerned with students riding bikes up and down the road.
Yeah, and I guess what my trouble with this is because I think South County will have a negative impact on this. And I think that there's a possibility, we don't know, we don't have any type of study, that dirt is going to be moved during school hours or outside school hours past more schools in Hillsborough County. We don't know the answer to that because we're looking at this isolated. Now, Ms. Leinhart, do we have any type of policy on this? When you all are taking a review, do you review as far as the traffic impacts to public safety for schools and whatnot? Could you touch on that real quick?
Thank you, Melissa Leinhart, for the record, Planning Commission staff. In the comprehensive plan, we cover a lot of topic areas. One of the things that we do cover are mobility issues, and we have an entire section of the comprehensive plan dedicated to mobility and other transportation issues. That being said, we rely on our technical experts, so Hillsborough County transportation staff, community and infrastructure planning, to talk about those transportation on the ground issues, since we're charged with long-term planning. But they're really the current folks who will look at the site plans and look at the traffic studies and make a determination, which is why I brought up the 2021 inconsistent finding for the previous request, having two objections, one from transportation and one from natural resources. Essentially, how we view that is if those agencies do not object and there is not something that is in clear violation or inconsistent with policy direction, then we would rely on that technical testimony.
Okay. And ma'am, do you have any comment that you can make as far as the impact or on schools, on children traversing to and from schools if dirt is excavated now all the way from South County to this area? Do you have any comment on?
No, I don't. But you did, or someone brought up the school that we have in the south regarding agricultural. Right now, students aren't riding bikes off the side of the road, so that's not really affecting that, the trucks traveling back and forth down there as we're building the roads, and as the county is building the roads, we then will start looking at them a little more closely. And as your planning commission member said, those rules are in the land development code for each of the cities. It's also in the interlocal agreement for each of the cities that we have, and in the comprehensive plan that we check for mobility. We check the traffic study. We check for the noise also, and how much noise is made. All of those items are in the comp plan, the interlocal agreement, and each jurisdiction's land development code.
Yeah, and I'll finish with that, because I feel like I'm really honestly not getting a straight answer to this. Where do you think that they're going to move this dirt here to these particular areas if your request is accepted, or if this is denied? Where will the dirt be moved from? What part of the county to what part? Will it be moved from South County to here, or what's your position on how dirt would be moved from to this particular area if this is denied?
Are you referring to the schools that are on site, or what are you referring to?
Well, just referring
from where to where?
referring to the solution. If dirt has to be moved in these areas that are being developed, where are we going to move it from in Hillsborough County?
I'm not an engineer. I can't answer that question. All I can say is we don't want these large trucks filled with dirt in front of our schools, because we don't feel it's safe for the students, and the students are what's most important to the school board.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, and so we have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, a second by Commissioner Hagan. No other discussion. Please record your vote.
I'm a yes.
Motion failed 3-4. Commissioners Cameron Cepeda, Cohen, Owen, and Ostel voted no.
Okay, so the motion to deny failed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Hold on, Commissioner Kemp. We have a motion to approve. Commissioner Cohen.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Owen. Commissioner Kemp.
I would just say that there has to be far more restrictions than in terms of this, that, if we're going to approve it, because it is so wide ranging. We have already, the original permit was made for 3.3 million cubic yards, and only 1.4 of those were taken out. Now they want 1.9 more in 10 years. We've had multiple issues with this. We've had our schools built since then. First of all, I think included in that should be considerations. And I would say that maybe we could continue this so that we could get staff to look at including more conditions in this. For instance, a 5-year renewal instead of 10 years, where they have access to less moving of dirt. Right now they have 1.9, which is more than they moved in 15 years, and reduce that to something like 500,000, which is quite a lot, cubic yards, and look at reductions in all these trips. Also, I would like to ask for annual status reports at the county land use meeting and have public comment available so that we understand what's going on in that area and what problems we're having. The sheriff has said to them that don't have enforcement powers in this regard. And this, there's been all kinds of problems with regards to what has happened in terms of these trucking. And this is quite a massive impact that we're talking there. We're talking, just if we average it out, now with what they're talking about is, according to their own testimony, is 94 daily trips a day, 20 during each of the peak times. This is really extreme, and we should tamp it down. And I'd like to see if, maybe I can make a substitute motion here to have staff continue to work to narrow this project, to give it some, an end point in 5 years where they seek renewal back and yearly annual status conference. I'll make a substitute motion to ask for at least those conditions and to bring it back for the next land use meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a substitute motion by Commissioner Kemp, second
Excuse me.
Commissioner. Hold on. Second by Commissioner Myers. Yes.
I wanted to remind the board that unfortunately the board is not able to continue this item to a future date pursuant to section 10.06.02 of the LDC. The applicant has reached the end of its 6 continuances that are allowed by the code.
Okay. What conditions do we have the ability to amend or change? Obviously, I know we can add the condition of preventing the trucks from going by the schools, which I would suggest. But as far as I know, Commissioner Kemp referenced 5 years instead of 10 years. Are there any conditions like that that are at our discretion?
So, Commissioner, I think it is the board's discretion to approve the conditions as the board sees fit. I think it might be beneficial to understand the applicant's perspective on something like a 5-year change in that, but the conditions are all recommended conditions for the board's consideration. But again, it might be beneficial to hear from the applicant to understand how a condition might be received or affect.
All right, hold on one second, Mr. Porter.
Commissioner Hagan, can I just ask?
Hold on, Commissioner Kemp. Commissioner Owen, you're next in the queue.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask the applicant to come up and see if they're willing to concede to conditions so that we're not laboring over them back and forth. Could you, you just heard our discussion here. Are there conditions so that we don't continue to labor over this that you're willing to stipulate to as far as the, I'll just let you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Again, for the record, Jim Porter with Ackerman. As Mr. Couch said, the condition about the haul route passing the school, we completely agree with. We're in complete agreement with that. So we would ask that that be made a condition. This has been continued, as you've known, 6 times because we have worked so closely with staff, taking into account all the neighbors' concerns. Ethel Hammer has been very involved in this from the staff perspective, I understand. So the conditions have been negotiated. They've been worked through. They've been carefully thought out. And we respectfully ask that they be honored today. Mr. Couch can talk about some of the logistics of something like this, but it takes a year to get an operating permit. So a 5-year window doesn't really work. The other thing is, as Mr. Couch said, this is done on a project-by-project basis. It's not consistently done through the period. It's when there's a large order that comes in, then the excavation is activated. So it's not continuous. And again, this is a temporary use. Eventually, it goes away once all the dirt is hauled. The number that is there is not some made-up esoteric number. It's there because roadway projects demand fill dirt. And in order to satisfy those demands, that's why the dirt has to be hauled. It's just not to be done. So to my point, Commissioner, I can see you're getting to the point. I can ask Jeremy to get into details, but that window doesn't really work for us because of those logistical operations.
And that's what I was asking. I was just wondering so that we know what we're dealing with here as a board, that you're going to stipulate to the school board's requests. So that's off the table. So now what we're only talking about is, I guess, duration and any other issues that the board sees. So thank you.
Commissioner Kemp.
Yes, I'd just like to ask that motion to move this to the end of the meeting. And perhaps there can be some discussion and bring this back at the end of the meeting. And, you know, with consideration for some of the issues that I put forward and any others that may be there.
All right, there's a substitute motion by Commissioner Kemp to continue this to the last item of the day, which I don't think will be that long, actually. But
Yeah.
do we have a second? All right, that motion dies. Commissioner Wostel?
Commissioner Owen, you kind of was the clarification that the 5-year window was not, it didn't work for them? I was trying to, is that exactly what Mr. Porter said?
Yeah, they said no on that.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Cohen?
Thank you very much. You know, I just wanted to say that I have found myself convinced by the argument that we are approving and allowing these types of uses in other parts of the county in other circumstances, and I don't think that we have the opportunity to pick or choose what we want when the legal sufficiency has been satisfied. And you know, there's a legal hurdle to get over here when you have the amount of competent substantial evidence in the record that we do with approval from our staff and the approving agencies. And whether we like it or not, we have to follow those decisions unless we can find some extraordinary circumstance, and I just don't think that that's been met here, because we know that there are plenty of other places where this is allowed under similar circumstances. And it seems to me that it doesn't make economic sense either to we know the amount of infrastructure projects that are slated for the western part of the county, the 60, 275 airport interchange work that's going on. And to bring in the fill dirt from miles and miles and miles further, you know, it really doesn't seem to make not just economic but environmental sense either.
Okay, so the motions to approve with condition 4 that was modified, and the additional condition not to allow the traffic on Lutz Lake Fern to pass the schools, correct?
Yes, and Commissioner would propose that condition 21B regarding the schools be read that trucks may travel to and from the site via an eastbound movement on Lutz Lake Fern only to the eastern edge of the Suncoast Parkway right-of-way. Trucks shall not use Lutz Lake Fern Road between the eastern edge of the Suncoast Parkway right-of-way and the eastern edge of Sun Lake Boulevard. So what that will do is it'll take that whole stretch of Lutz Lake Fern, would make that prohibited for any use of trucks at any time.
Okay, so the motion by Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Owen. Please record your vote.
No.
Cameron Cepeda, can you please? Oh, thank you. Motion carried, 5-2. Commissioners Hagan and Kemp voted no.
All right, thank you. Next item.
Next item is agenda item E2, PRS application 23-0789. This is a request for minor modification to a project that's located southwest of Baum-Wimauma Road and Baum Road intersection. The request is to modify a requirement regarding requirements for providing for on-site retail at a specified time prior to build out of the project. This is a requirement of the old regulations under the RP2 plan category and village PD regulations, which are no longer in effect, but this project is still subject to them. The request is to be given the option to, in lieu of providing the required on-site retail to be constructed prior to build out, that they have the option to do a village green in the interim until such time in the future when the market would allow for development of the parcel. the land development code allows the applicant to make that alternative assumption regarding the timing of it. And again, they've argued that because of the market, that it's impractical to require the actual construction of the on-site retail prior to build out. Staff is in concurrence and is recommending approval with conditions, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. William Malloy, 325 South Boulevard, Tampa, Florida. Just a few quick extra comments, I guess, on this case. What we're asking to do is remove the now outdated retail component from an RP2 subdivision and make a transition into a village green, which would really just be open space for the neighborhood. We're doing this under the existing RP2 code, which I know has been modified but is not in effect yet. We're not asking for any waivers or variations under the code. This is strictly by the book. And again, under the new regulations, when and if they should come into effect, this element of the neighborhood wouldn't be required as it is. So we're just asking for relief before the new code comes in. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
And thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Yes. Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. Me and my colleagues going to need sworn in. Traffic, imagine that.
Over here, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
For the record, my name is Buddy Harwell, lifelong resident of Hillsborough County, Vice President of Baum Civic Association. We were part of the original zoning. This was the first RP2 in Baum that we fought, you know, just like we always will. Of course, the developers are saying, this is good for you. We're clustering houses or small lots, you know. We're going to leave, you know, green space in the area, because RP2, you had clustering, you had commercial, and you had open space. That was the three components of RP2 that they fought and won, you know, and we lost, of course. So anyways, I'm here to ask for you for denying this. They're talking about it's not needed anymore. I mean, if it's not needed in the rural area, where's it needed at? I mean, they talk about how 1.5 miles commercial around the area. 1.5 miles in the area, you have a little general store, you got a post office, you got a mobile home sales, you got Mr. Franklin's welding shop right across the street, and basically farmland. There's no other commercial around in the area. I don't know if you can see that. That is the subject property right there, going up to 672. The Publix over here at Belmont. You can see it's 9 minutes, 5.3 miles, the way the cow walks. We don't go by the way the crow flies down south. This is going south to Baum Waimama Road. Got 11 minutes, 7.3 to get to Walmart and Publix. And we know there's not going to be a Publix or something, but at least maybe a daycare, a veterinarian, hair stylist or something in the area. I'm a big proponent for commercial. We need jobs, South County. This isn't going to solve the problem, but we need it. We can go back to the ZHM. And I do like to ask, I didn't hear the applicant say, I believe there's supposed to be like 10, 15,000 square feet that's supposed to be proposed in there, and I haven't heard that yet. But back to the ZHM, they talk about how commercial's needed in these areas and stuff like that. So I'm here asking, deny this, let them build the commercial like they talked about, like they requested originally, that was supposed to be good for us. Option 2, approve it. but put a conservation easement on the commercial space that's supposed to be in there. Option 3, they want to compare it to RP 2.0, community benefits. Well, let's sit down and talk about community benefits in exchange for this. So it's not a plain ass deny. It's 3 options I give you and ask you to consider each one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
I need to be sworn, unless you counted that last one. I did raise my hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Good morning. My name's Al Bruner. I am the president of the Baum Civic Association currently. I agree very much in what Buddy has highlighted to this group. We have dealt with this development with some other violations of other things there. I know that's not the topic for this. We want them to do what they've agreed to do, the way they agreed to do it. And I do not support any additional changes. That's the one thing that we've seen repeatedly through all of the major planned developments. They come in, get things agreed to, and then they wait 3 months, 6 months, 12 months or more down the road, and then they change it. Or they wait for people not to pay attention. Well, we're paying attention. We don't want the change. I have some pictures, but again, I think that's off topic of what they have done with dust mitigation, drainage, and stuff that we've argued for and against. We do need commercial out in the area. We're increasingly having more and more traffic pass through. We need to do more and more stuff to minimize having all of these new homes that are coming into the area cumulatively, both to our south, to our north, and here at the Balm Grove, to capture some of that, because until your road construction catches up in 10, 15 years, we just don't have the space. The roads are dangerous. We're having accidents repeatedly by all of the traffic and all of the neighborhoods that are coming south trying to get out to the interstate because all the other ways are clogged. So that is my point. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. The applicant, that's a 5-minute rebuttal.
Commissioners, William Malloy again, 325 South Boulevard. Just a few points on rebuttal. I think there were some references made to the ZHM by the first speaker. Obviously, there was no ZHM in this case. There is no prior record. You're hearing it for the first time right now. I'm not sure if this is helpful or not, but this is a 2017 zoning. This commercial space has been available ostensibly, maybe not aggressively marketed, but been available since 2017. There simply is no market for it. I can't argue with Buddy or with anyone that South County certainly needs more retail, needs more commercial opportunities. The problem with this particular situation is the retail is buried at the tail end of a subdivision with really only internal access to it. There's no opportunity for drive-by capture, advertising, et cetera, the things that make retail thrive. My fear would be we could put retail here. It's just going to be an empty shell building, and the neighborhood is much better served by a village green. Thank you again, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Owen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Malloy, if you could stay up here. And Mr. Gormley, the issue we're dealing with here is timing, correct? Could you just allude to that real quick?
Yes, Commissioner. Currently, the planned development, it requires that a little over 7,400 square feet of commercial use be built within the village green by, I believe, 50% of the CO's permits for the project. What the application is asking for is a consideration of an alternative demand scenario. We're essentially asking that the demand be identified as being zero right now while the community is being built. What the request would do is it would allow a village green, but also retain the ability for commercial uses to be constructed within that village green. So it doesn't obviate the opportunity, but it allows the timing to match with the demand for those type of commercial uses.
Right. So this is just really, in essence, just changing the timing of when they can build versus being in compliance with these requirements here, because we had the jobs requirement here that's long gone. So, Mr. Malloy, I think Mr. Harwell brought up an interesting scenario with some type of conservation easement that could be compatible with this. Is that something you all have tossed around? Because we're talking about green space here. Could you just maybe touch on that real quick? I mean, I don't know if that's
It's certainly not something I can agree to unilaterally.
Okay.
It conflicts a little bit with the program that we're looking at here. If I put a conservation easement on it, it is in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
And part of our application allows for the potential for commercial in the future, just not right now. So we could develop it as a village green and then say we do have a thriving subdivision. We identify a thriving, potential retail market. We can put the commercial back on it. It's not an either-or situation, or actually it is an either-or situation. We can develop the green, then develop commercial. We could do half and half. We have some flexibility. This just gives us some relief with the timing on it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking of the likely of what would go here commercially. I mean, this is probably an area where Mr. Harwell alluded to a daycare. We need those. That's probably what this would be, possibly, right?
Daycares have been one of the only successful commercial operations in these centralized subdivisions. Where the retail is centralized in there, daycare has worked before. Absolutely.
Okay.
I've argued for it before.
Okay. Yeah. I'll sit back and listen to other commissioners. Thanks.
Commissioner Wostel?
I'll wait for, I'm going to support whatever you'd like. I think that the speakers, this is just another point that I've been making about community benefits. I mean, it's outrageous for us to try and believe like we're going to puppeteer what's going to happen in a local area. And that's why I want community benefits to go strictly towards, hey, you can override county staff's development services and say we want a stoplight here now, not 5 years later. I think that that's a community benefit. I thought the second speaker in opposition brought up a good point where the Planning Commission is like at a huge disadvantage because and they undershot it. It's not 3, 6, 12 months. We just fought in a motel that was approved like over a decade ago, and then they came back for another huge second bite of the apple from, I think, RM 12 or 20 to RM 35. I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but I think that in these, it's very difficult to allow these continued changes. I guess if they believe that there's an opportunity for commercial, but that it is the worry that this could be now more homes in the area if we remove that, is that the potential possibility?
Commissioner, nothing in this application increases the number of homes, nor does it allow homes in the Village Square area. So the change would not affect the number of homes or the location of them.
Okay, so we're removing, it would be removing the commercial criteria, but aren't one of the, I don't remember, that's another confusing thing about the community benefits, and then in the various plans, I think that they vary. So isn't green space, though, one of them, and is that what they're asking for right now? It's just that we're not guaranteeing it. Is that the problem? And that's what the conservation easement asking was. Michael, Commissioner Owen, you can.
Yeah, well, I think to be clear, we're just talking about timing. This is allowing development to go forward, correct, Mr. Gormley, without that timing. I don't think we're going to. I mean, it's going to be a commercial space with green space right here. We're just talking about a timing issue here.
The timing, and before the commercial is built, it can be utilized as a village green, a sort of open space for the project, and could be developed with commercial uses at some later point in time, but it doesn't affect the development otherwise, other than in that Village Square.
So, okay, so we can't possibly be opening up the door for what the real concerns might be, which is even more density in the area. I don't want to, I agree with the opposition on this particular item when you have these second bites of the apple. But if this is just purely something that it says you can't make a commercial area work in certain areas, and we can't pretend like we're the architects of making that happen. So I'll hear whatever if you make a motion.
Commissioner Owen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the reason that timing and why the gentleman in opposition, why I appreciate everything they said, is because remember, we're in South County, an area where we have completely unimproved roads, and we're developing. So the problem is as we continue to develop, when we are not improving roads, we're not creating separate arteries, that timing can be a problem as to 301, Bonboyette Road, and all those roads. So I am going to move for approval on this one, but just note too to the speakers that I will be watching this space very, very closely. So move for approval.
Motion approved, Commissioner Owen. Second, Commissioner Wilstel. Please record your vote.
May I speak?
Commissioner Kemp.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know that was going to just go that fast. I would just like to say that I thought the speakers brought up very good points. Mr. Buddy Harville has been in many, many times over the past 5 years as this was has been brought to us again and again. Mr. I think it's Hunt as well. And this is a very minor, 7,400 square feet is not a lot of space to have this. We need to really start moving just, even daycare, as I said, into some kinds of trip capture in these areas so that the roads, every time someone wants to have a simple loaf of bread or a carton of milk or anything like that, that they don't have to drive for miles and miles, as Mr. Harwell pointed out, to get those. It's really important that we not, create communities that are segregated like that and don't have those opportunities. Even the applicant admitted that they haven't very aggressively or strongly, advertised for this. So I'm just going to object. This was really hard fought on the part of the community in order to really create some kind of trip capture and community center and a village node. And this really takes a major step towards never having that happen. Slowly erode step by step.
All right, thank you. Please record your vote on the motion.
I'm a no.
Motion carried, 6-1. Commissioner Kemp voted no.
All right, thank you. E3.
Next item is agenda item E3, a special use application LE 23-1003. This is a request for a land excavation special use permit on a 330-acre parcel that's located at the southwest of the intersection of US 41 and Lavender Road in South County. As you can see by the aerial, the parcel does have a closed out prior borrow pit on the property that had access to Lavender Road. This request is to provide for another land excavation on this parcel in the northeast portion of the property. As part of that, they are asking for relief from the requirement that the borrow pits have direct access to US 41. They're proposing using Lavender Road, which the prior borrow pit used Lavender Road, and they're also asking for to be able to start excavation a half hour earlier than what the code would prescribe regarding operating hours. Staff is supportive of the request and is recommending approval with conditions, and we're available for any comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Sorry. Bryce Pinson with Half Associates, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Tampa, Florida. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Can we put the slideshow? Okay. So the site is located in southwest Hillsborough County. It's 330 acres total in the Little Manatee South and South Shore community plan areas and in the rural service area. Surrounding uses are mainly agricultural, vacant land. There's some industrial and commercial uses as well. The future land use is AR, and the zoning is also AR, agricultural rural. The request is for land excavation for 4 million cubic yards on approximately 96 acres. In 2017, the site was approved for land excavation on 115-acre area of the site and has since been completed. There are two waivers which were approved with the original request, which are going to be continued with this one, which is access from the local road, because US 41 is bordered by CSX Railroad, so there's no way for us to cross over that. And Lavender has been used as a haul route in history. There's also no residential uses or residential support uses nearby that are using Lavender Road. And we are also requesting to change the hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., allowing the drivers to be able to access the site a bit earlier and to be able to allow travel time to serve Pinellas County and other areas. Planning Commission found the request consistent, and Development Services found the request approval, and we have had no objections from reviewing agencies. And I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition?
Hello again. Buddy Harwell, Balm, Florida. I'm not in support or opposition, really. After the previous one, Keystone, Balm, we've dealt with 5 land excavations in the last 20 years. I live probably a quarter mile from one. It is extremely rough on the neighbors. The dirt mitigation, they do not follow the rules. It blows sand, it ruins pool pump, screens, filters, and everything. You get runoff. We get they go down and dig so far and pump out water. A lot of times wells or go dry or have problems for a while, or the taste. About 4 years ago, mine tasted, and it cost me $3,000 to get a new filter system on it. So I just ask you, does something, and we've actually, on the Balm Grove, through land excavation and through them coming in here just stripping the land. I mean, 300 acres, when you strip it and you have the dry winters and the dust is blown. Even the Mr. Delgado from EPC, we've contacted many a times. He's come out, written them up. They don't have enough water trucks. They don't have this. They don't have that. They get slapped on the hand and don't do it again. Next month, we'll call in again. And they don't have the resource to come out and check each time. We have multiple pictures. We will come to the EPC meeting and show these eventually. But it's something that y'all need to consider getting stricter. And one of the problems is they say they don't have the resources or the personnel, just like you don't have the resources, just like what natural resources checks the digging and everything else. I've talked to Lori Moretta, I think, multiple times, sending her pictures, and she's come out and checked and had to get on to them about this and that and different things like that. So it's an extreme burden on the neighbors, on the roads. You talk about 1 million cubic yards of dirt. Average dump truck is 20 cubic yards. That's 50,000 trucks it takes for 1 million cubic yards. That's just one way. Now it has to come there empty, then it has to leave. Now you're talking 100,000 trips. At 80,000 pounds loaded truck. Probably 35, 40,000 not loaded. So these are things we just want you to be aware of and understand and try to help us correct this problem so the next neighborhood don't have to deal with it, or it just gets kicked down the road to something else. And I will ask, I'm grateful for Mr. White for getting this land use brought here, but I want to ask commissioners sitting here right now, can we go one step farther? And Mr. White was going to try. We need to put a limit on how many burrow pits can be in a 5-mile area or something like that, because it does affect the quality of life, your quality of water, and your living. So, like I say, I just want y'all to be aware of what we go through, and be happy to sit down with y'all and have y'all come out and look at what we go through. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Again, Al Bruner. I echo many of Buddy's earlier comments, so I will not rehash them. But I will say I live within 2.5 miles of 5 borough pits. 4 of them are now dysfunctional or retired. They did affect my pond. I had 3 natural springs that fed my pond that is now dry as a result of borough pits. I don't have, in this particular case, I'm neither for nor against, but it does require some oversight to manage both the truck traffic that's coming in and out, the number of times that I've been nearly ran off the road by the dump trucks coming in and out of these places, and just going down the road has been numerous, to the point I've had to add an air horn to my car and 360-degree video coverage because of how they sometimes act like bullies on the road. Now, they don't get a lot of people cut them off, and they have a tough job trying to move that much weight around the road safely, and it is a hard job. But it's incumbent upon this body and this group to not create additional safety hazards on the infrastructure that we have. So again, I just ask for due diligence. Again, neither for nor against this particular project, but as you today, in the little bit of time that I've been here, we've heard about 2 excavations. It's a big deal. It affects everybody around. I've got pictures with me about dust blowing around and the impact that that has on everybody. We're talking miles away, 2 miles away. The impact's big. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal.
Bryce Pinson with Half Associates. I just want to start by saying that those comments in particular are not really relevant to this project. We've had no code enforcement issues, no letters of opposition. We sent our notices. We haven't heard anything from any surrounding neighbors. There's no residential neighborhoods nearby. This road isn't used by any neighborhoods. And so that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Cassandra from my staff is going to come get with the 2 speakers. I'll personally come out there myself. I know every excavation pit out there, but as far as some of these impacts that you guys mentioned today, I would love to go out there and take a look with you guys. So Cassandra's going to get with you. And as to this particular item, Mr. Gormley, this is, the prior pit used this same access road, correct? This is not a change in any type of road access on the first borough pit. It's the same access road, correct?
Same access, yes.
Okay, yeah, because 41 is not an option on this because of the CSX.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. But I appreciate the speakers being here, and I make a commitment that I'll come out there with you all and take a look, and I'll move for approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Wilstel. Commissioner Wilstel.
I was just a point of information. I was just on Balm Picnic, Sweat Loop at Huckleberry, this exact area yesterday with staff, and I mean, I hadn't seen dust storms like that since I was in the Middle East, but the dust storms were rolling off of the fields of produce farms on Balm Picnic and Sweat Loop. So, you know, that's not a borrow pit. I'm really just pointing it out for us to have as like, it's going to be really challenging for us to say where the dust is coming from when they're also rolling off of just regular agriculture fields. So, which we have several preemptions from getting even involved in on regulating. So just that thought.
Commissioner Kemp.
I'd just like to also recognize, and I have been to the speakers that spoke so well about the impacts that this has on them and community around them. And it does seem like it is incumbent upon this board to look more into how we provide the staff to regulate and really enforce some of what is going on there. And there are definite testimony and evidence that the dirt has come in many of these cases, and I have been up to visit in particular the one at Keystone that we just had as a first item, and see the impacts of that on the neighborhood and community. And they further elaborated, the last 2 speakers, on it in South County. Also, to point out that there are many, many places around the county at all different places. I mean, we had no expert testimony or anything about where they are digging sand and dirt in Hillsborough County and where they are bringing it to. And we also had mentions of the fact that it comes from right over the border. There are other places in Pasco and nearby that it can come to in the northwest area of the county. So I just wanted to say, you know, we've done a lot of throwing around about these impacts and about what or what isn't out there and how long it's trucked, and asking people that have no expertise nor studies or anything about these impacts. And it just, you know, it's to ask them those questions and not be doing our due diligence and then to say, oh, it's better environmentally or some other way to do this. I just think that, you know, we've heard differently and know differently from what we're hearing. So in the future, we, I believe, do need to look in how we can enforce and do more due diligence in this area.
Commissioner Owen?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know if it was you, Commissioner Cohen, that said it, but the tough thing is we're developing here in Hillsborough County. We've got to get dirt from somewhere. And what I don't want is and after today, I mean, I think it's kind of rich if you voted, you know, no on the previous one. You know, where are we going to get our dirt here to develop here in Hillsborough County? And I don't want South County to become the place where everybody's getting dirt and then we're traversing all over the county with it. So, I just wanted to make those comments, and again, let the speakers know that, again, I'll personally be out there to take a look. Thank you.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, E4.
Commissioners, next item is agenda item E4, PRS application 24-0013. This is a request for a minor modification to a plan development 2.3 acre parcel located on the west side of US 41 in the Ruskin area, south of 19th Avenue and north of West Shelphorn Avenue. The applicant, the request is basically to modify a location of the access to First Street's northwest, moving it further south, and then also reconfiguring the internal layout and allocation regarding the entitlements with no increases in entitlements, and again, just sort of reconfiguring the internal layout and the access changes. Staff is recommending approval subject to conditions and available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Stu Mai of HT Mai Inc., address is 14031 North Del Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida 33618. I'm here representing the applicant, Catholic Charities, Diocese of St. Petersburg. The subject site is 2.36 acres with a current zoning of PD and a future land use of OC20. It is located at 1308 North US Highway 41 within the Ruskin Community Plan and in the urban service area. This is a minor modification to PD 21-0551, which was approved in 2022. The applicant is proposing to retain the permitted uses of the development for 63 affordable housing units, an 884 square feet laundromat for residence uses only, and the reduction of a non-residential uses total area from 2,500 square feet to 456 square feet for administrative offices uses. Internal connectivity and cross-access to adjacent properties and/or roadways will be provided. A summary of the modifications are as follows. Non-residential uses site area reduction from 0.24 acres to 0.10 acres. Minor layout changes to 6 buildings for multifamily. The relocation of the proposed full access location on First Street Northwest to the southern portion of the subject site. In addition, administrative variance was requested for access spacing requirements on First Street Northwest and was found approvable by the county engineer. To conclude, we received no objections from the review agencies. We concur with staff's findings of the request as approval. We respectfully request your recommendation for approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Commissioner Owen?
Yes, and I just want to clarify, Mr. Gormley, this is no change to entitlements whatsoever. This is just access point change.
Correct, access and layout of the site, yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Can we get a motion to approve? Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, E5.
Next item, agenda item E5, is PRS application 24-0205. This is a request for a minor modification of 4.26 acre parcel that's located on north and west Sitka and Patterson Road intersection. It's just west of the Veterans Expressway, south of Waters Avenue. Commissioners, this development has 4 development options. On all 4 development options, the applicant is requesting to increase the maximum building height from 60 to 65 feet. For the one development option that provides for non-residential uses, they are requesting modification to setbacks and increasing required screening to provide for a wall in lieu of an allowance for a fence or a hedge. So they're committing to a masonry wall as part of that requested reduction in setbacks. The project will be subject to 2-to-1 setbacks for structure height over 20 feet. So that provides for, as the building heights go over 20 feet, there's additional 2 feet of setback for each foot of height over that 20 feet. So that provides for, helps them move the building and provide for transition and compatibility with the parcel to the south. Regarding the other development options and including increasing building height, they are also requesting to modify the maximum number of units per building for townhomes, and also removing a requirement to have garages for those townhome units. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning, sir.
Chairman Hagan, Commissioners, Hugh Marthinson, 421 South McDill Avenue, 33609. The applicant is also here. We've all been sworn in. If you have any particular questions on that, we'd like to just say on behalf of the applicant that we have worked closely with county staff. We are in full agreement with all the conditions that they have requested of us. We're particularly pleased we had some additional screening that's going to be available for the one parcel to the south. We are, as again I said, had no objections to this and would please ask you to approve. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion? Motion to approve, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Cohen. No comments, please record your vote on E5.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Grady, F1.
The next item is agenda item F1, rezoning standard 24-0042. This is a request to rezone a 1.72 acre parcel in the Brandon area that's located east of Lamona and north of Victoria Street, again at the corner of Telefair and Mook Street. The request is rezoned from agricultural single family 1 to RSC 6. Residential single family conventional would provide for, which would allow for standard conventional single family homes with a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended its approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Moretta, 1100 North Ashley, representing Johanna Allen. Commissioners, this is related to a site that was affected by a permitting error approximately 32 years ago, and the request is essentially to rezone the property to comply an existing home on 2 lots, effectively recognized 2 lots and 2 homes. The property is approximately 1.72 acres. It has 2 folios right now, and the request is to go from ASC1 to RSC6. The reason the RSC6 has been chosen is because the rezoning to the RSC6 district will achieve the dimensional setback, the lot area, and the standards of RSC6 would provide compliance for the existing home and the lot size. It also will facilitate a subdivision to recognize existing 2 homes on the property that have been there for 32 years. In terms of the area as it exists, the property right now, it has RSC6 to the north, RSC6 to the west, RSC6 to the south, ASC1 to the east. It does have some RDC 12, which is a pretty intense district, 12 units per acre to the west and southwest. The comp plan is Res 6. It does have some Res 9 located to the south of it. The project is firmly within the density allowed by the comprehensive plan, which is 6 units per acre, and in the urban service area. The project has found all approvals from the zoning hearing master, from the development services staff, and also from the planning commission. It was found to be consistent. So again, we're requesting this rezoning to comply the property and allow the Allens to move on with their site in compliance. We'll save the rest of our time for a rebuttal if necessary. It's a pretty straightforward site. Our conclusions equal the staff conclusions. We're all in agreement, and we hope you will find matters the same. Thank you very much.
All right, anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, Planning Commission?
Thank you, Melissa Leinhardt, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the Residential 6 Future Land Use category. It is within the limits of the Brandon Community Plan, and it is also in the urban service area. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 1 and Policy 1.4 of the Future Land Use element by providing residential uses within the urban service area where 80% of future growth is to be directed per policy direction. The proposal meets the compatibility requirements of Policy 1.4 as the area contains similar range of residential uses. Single-family residential surrounds the site to the north, east, and west, and to the south are multifamily residences, single-family residential lots, agricultural uses, and a high school. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 16 and its accompanying policies that require new development to be compatible to the surrounding neighborhood. Goal 12 and Objective 12-1 of the community design component require new developments to recognize the existing community and be designed to be compatible with the predominant character of the surrounding area. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is mostly single-family residential, and the proposed residential use will complement the existing development pattern. The site is also in the suburban character district within the Brandon Community Plan. The proposed use meets the intent of the community plan, which includes primarily residential designed for single-family detached, single-family attached, and townhomes. The request to develop residential units on the subject property meets the vision of the community plan. And based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing Master?
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning to the residential single-family conventional RSC 6 zoning district to reconfigure the lot line to remedy two non-conforming lots. The property is 1.72 acres in size, currently zoned ASC 1, and designated residential 6 by the comprehensive plan. The parcel is located within the urban service area and the Brandon Community Plan area. The zoning hearing master noted that the property consists of two folio numbers. The northern lot was developed in 1962 with a single-family home and storage structure. The southern lot was developed with a single-family home in 1992, which was under a valid building permit, which was issued by the county in error, as the two lots do not meet the ASC 1 required minimum lot size of 1 acre. The zoning hearing master summarized testimony in opposition that was provided by two neighborhood residents at the ZHM hearing. The testimony focused on the concern that the RSC 6 zoning district would increase the density in the area and impact drainage conditions. Concern was also expressed that the RSC 6 zoning district would result in the development of duplexes. The applicant's representative testified that there are no plans for redevelopment of the property, but rather the intent was to correct the two non-conforming lots, and that any future development would require county subdivision review to ensure compliance with development regulations such as drainage. The zoning hearing master noted that the proposed RSC 6 zoning district does not permit duplex dwelling units. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed rezoning serves to correct a county staff error in which a building permit was issued resulting in two lots that do not meet the current ASC 1 minimum lot size. The rezoning was found to be compatible with the area and development pattern, and the zoning hearing master recommended approval.
All right, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Owen.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Myers. If no comments, please record your vote on F1.
Yes.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. The next item?
Commissioners, the next item is related items G1A and G1B. G1A is a minor modification to the Apollo Beach Plan development for a 1.87 acre parcel that's located at the northwest corner of Apollo Beach Boulevard and Dolphin Cove Drive. The request is to provide for the second development option for these two development pockets. This parcel, which has two development pockets within the PD 78 and 81. Again, the request is to provide a second development option to allow for parking lot, to provide overflow parking for nearby commercial development. Through the site plan, they have provided requiring buffering and screening, and also providing a fencing along the canal to help minimize light impacts on the properties to the north. The related, that's G1A, staff is recommending approval with conditions. G1B is a related amendment to the DRI to make the same changes to pocket 71 and 81 and the map H development order for the DRI, because again, the PD plans for both the PD zoning and the DRI are the same, so we're basically making the same changes to the DRI to allow for the use of these two parcels for the proposed parking lot. Again, staff is recommending approval of both items, and we're available for any questions.
All right, this is a combined public hearing, so we'll hear testimony on both at the same time. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Isabel Albert with HAF, 1000 North Ashley Drive. So staff said the site is located in Apollo Beach. Its current zoning is the planned development with a future land use of residential 6. The subject comprised of two sites. The surrounding development in the area is residential with some commercial to the northeast. So more specifically, this site is comprised of two parcels, one of which is located in a pod along Apollo Beach Boulevard, which is permitted for commercial, multifamily, and single-family dwelling, while the corner lot is located within the pod 78, which is a part of a residential development approved for single-family dwelling units.
Excuse me, were you sworn in?
Yes, I have been sworn in. Thank you. So the request is to allow a surface parking lot to serve Circles Restaurant. In the past year, since the opening, actually a year and a half since the opening of Finn's, the area has been really suffering to have parking to serve these commercial uses along that boulevard. And the owner of Circles also owns this parcel and thought it would be best use is to provide surface parking for his staff as well as the customers. And during that process, we did meet with the neighbors to the south and to the east of the residential development and across the canal where they wanted enhanced screening. And the applicant had no objection to complying with that, as well as discussion with staff to provide a crosswalk for a safe pedestrian crosswalk in order to go to the Circles restaurant. Apollo Beach Boulevard is the substandard road, and we did request a design exception, and part of the negotiations and support with staff was to provide a 10-foot multi-use trail from the crosswalk to the Circles restaurants. Staff finds recommended of approval, and there was no objections from reviewing agencies, and I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in support? Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing? My name's Ed Meyer. Live at 6503 Dolphin Cove Drive. We met with the applicant and the engineer, and we had a very productive meeting. We basically came down to an agreement of 10 items. I represent the 75 homes of the undersigned. All the signatures are attached to the application. Basically, we're just asking that the county commissioners approve the 10 items, some of which are applicable, some of which are not, under the conditions for this multi-use parking lot. We also asked for clarification that if this parking lot is going to be definitely used for both restaurants or just a single. My understanding is the application changed as you read it, that it was going to affect just Circles Restaurant or both Finn's and Circles or be paid parking. The only other thing that we had a little discussion on is we want to make sure that the Dolphin Cove Drive entrance, they want me to reiterate that it is closed and that all access is on the boulevard. In addition to that, we're asking that we looked at the traffic study and we'd like an opening in the median for where when vehicles go into the restaurant, they always do a U-turn right at the entrance and exit of our subdivision. We're requesting that an opening be put in and a turn. Now, they said they would not approve a turn lane, from my understanding. So the opening would allow traffic to go in directly after people search for a parking spot instead of doing that U-turn. And or a U-turn sign, a no U-turn sign on the east side of Dolphin Cove and Apollo Beach Boulevard. Therefore, when we're pulling out of the subdivision, the people are at least going up further, not obstructing our view, our traffic. Basically, those are our main requests. Screening is definitely on the list, and then those 10 items are listed already. Basically, those are the real sticking points. And other than that, from what I gathered from the residents, I got 74 homes, and as long as those 10 items are adhered to, there was no real major opposition, other than anybody that might speak now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in support? All right, those in opposition? Morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Henry Mart. I live at 1026 Bellasol Way, Unit 202. I am the board president of Bellasol Villas Condominiums, right there on the boulevard. We support the project with a couple stipulations. First is we do understand that the proposed 10-foot wide sidewalk is part of a larger plan to improve substandard roads, like Apollo Beach Boulevard. But sometimes these are well-intended efforts do not make sense when applied to this situation. For example, they want 500 feet of 10-foot wide sidewalk, when the entire rest of Apollo Beach Boulevard, 2.5 miles, is only 5 foot wide. Where do they ride the bikes? They ride them on the street. Where do people jog? Ride them up. They jog on the street right now. So adding the burden of 10 foot wide between front of our property going all the way to Circles doesn't make sense. We already have a sidewalk there, except for maybe 2 sections, 50 feet apiece. We would like just a 5 foot wide, the continuous sidewalk to make it look seamless and like it's supposed to be there, because there's no other, let me put it this way, there's very little other businesses going to be coming in that area except for maybe at the very end of Apollo Beach Boulevard, where there's a 2.5 acre parcel of land. The rest of that is residential. So adding a 10 foot wide for 500 feet, it makes no sense to us. Aesthetically, it tears up our area, which we have a curved sidewalk, and they want to put a straight sidewalk in there. We understand there's a need for sidewalks and the crosswalk. And the other point that I'd like to make that the other gentleman from Dolphin Code made, he says, no U-turn. Well, we have to have that U-turn to get into our property. So that no U-turn sign there would not work. We have to go there to go directly into ours. Again, we support the project We think it's needed to get the cars that are parking in the median right now. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to a couple of my colleagues here.
All right, thank you. Next.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Fred Verdilla. I live at 1022 Belisol Way, Apollo Beach, Florida. I am the current vice president on the board right now. I'm going to make it quick because everything's going to be redundant, the same points, but I'm not opposed to Circles having their parking lot built, but I am opposed to the 10-foot wide walkway on the south side of Apollo Beach Boulevard. I think it should be 5 feet like Hank was speaking about. And another point is we at Belisol Condos, we have a service gate with a driveway that this 10-foot pathway will be almost touching. It's directly across from the proposed Circles parking lot. And this gate is used for emergency response, for vendors, for other issues. In my opinion, it's a dangerous situation with pedestrians, you know, walking from Finn's or from Circles with a few drinks in them, very close to this parking lot. And if, the previous map that was up there, the proposed walkway, which I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about right now, but that's coming directly across to that driveway. So, in my opinion, if they could just move the walkway like a little further down, maybe 10, 15 feet down with the walkway, I think it would be a better situation and safer. That's all I got to say right now.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Bill Armstrong, 1042 Belisol Way, Palm Beach, Florida. Not to repeat what Hank and Freddie have said, but to perhaps add on to some of the issues with a 10-foot wide sidewalk. As I understand it right now, that proposal to put 500 feet of 10-foot concrete from part of the Belisol frontage down to Circles. Well, to do that, the Circles is going to have to pay to demolish 350 feet of current existing 5-foot sidewalks that's worked for years to put in 500 feet of 10-foot. So we're demolishing 350 feet of existing sidewalk to put this in. It doesn't make sense to me. I think Fred mentioned the issue of the landscaping, which Belisol has maintained for 16 years. It fits perfectly with a sidewalk that clearly wouldn't be approved today, but it's there. It's curved, it matches, and I think, are somewhat pleased with the frontage and the way it looks. We have 54 units in Belisol, and those are our homes, and we just don't think it would be appropriate, as I don't think perhaps many of you would want to have half of your frontage all of a sudden turned into 10 feet, not the whole thing, just part of it, and then the rest of it's still 5 feet. It makes no sense. Based on what I was able to find out, it takes about 2 minutes to walk 500 feet. So once you finish walking 500 feet, you're back on 5 feet of sidewalk, whether you're on a skateboard or a bicycle or just walking. So again, it makes sense as we understand it, that you have deemed that we need to do the best we can with substandard roads like Apollo Beach. Fully agree. And that these 10-foot wide multi-pathways make sense in a lot of places. But the one approach fits all, to me, does not make sense when you're starting something out in the middle. You're destroying good sidewalks. I would rather Circles be asked to complete a small 35 or so foot section where our maintenance or access driveway is, where it's not connected across that little driveway. If that were done, there would be 1,500 feet of continuous sidewalk from Circles all the way down through a couple of complexes toward the east on Apollo Beach Boulevard. That would be money well spent to finish that section in front of Belisol. Forget the 10-foot thing here in this case. That would only represent 4% of the length of Apollo Beach Boulevard. And I don't think we're kidding ourselves. In my lifetime, for sure, you're not going to see Apollo Beach Boulevard turned into 10-foot wide. It's not going to happen in 10 years or 15 years. So I would ask that you remove that condition for a 10-foot wide sidewalk. The second issue has nothing to do with me as a resident of Bella Sol. It has to do with pedestrian safety, and it concerns the notional location that Ms. Albert showed on the graphic of where the crosswalk would be. Based on data in your agenda package, I calculated that right now there are 226 spaces to park cars that Circles has ownership of or access to with the marina next door. Finn's Restaurant, which was new as of the summer of 2022, has 87 parking spots. So right now there's 313 existing restaurant bar parking lots, and with Circle's request, which we support the need for overflow parking, that adds 107. So we're talking 420 spaces. Well, these are restaurants, but Finn's is a bar and grill. Folks are going to come out of those two parking lots, and if you approve, which we hope you do, the overflow for Circles, those three parking lots, the way the roads are designed, everybody has to head west. If you're coming out of the new parking lot, you have to head west and then U-turn, and then you're going to be driving east on Apollo Beach Boulevard, the southern part of the road. And so will everybody else coming out of Finn's and the main parking lot. So I believe, based on my 30 years in Apollo Beach, that most of the folks that are going to those restaurants that are driving are coming from the east, from Apollo Beach proper, other communities. Very few are actually coming from Andalusia and along there. So most of those cars, of 420 potential cars leaving, are going to be going right over the middle of that crosswalk. In addition, if it stays where it is, you cross in front of the Bella Sol property to the southern side of Apollo Beach Boulevard, and you start walking to Circles. Well, you will now cross the entrance and exit of Finn's parking lot, and you will cross the exit for the Circles parking lot. So you're exposing pedestrians.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yes, sir.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Great to see you again.
So,
thank you. All right, applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal.
Thank you, Isabel Albert, for the record. Couple things with the first gentleman who spoke. Those 10 items were a list of items that they wanted to discuss with the owners. We met at the office and we went through them. A lot of the items are not, cannot be regulated or governed by the conditions, but this agreement they have between Vic and this property owner, but the ones that can be governed by the conditions have been included in the conditions. In terms of the 10-foot sidewalks, I've been to the site a couple times. I've met with them, and there are some areas that are lacking of connection and between existing and the proposed, which I have a graphic I could show you. But I explained to the residents that this is a board direction to have that 10-foot sidewalks, but again, it's at the board discretion to waive that and come up with an alternative that would also make the residents happy. And for that, we would need a revision to design exception. But again, that is at your purview. But if I can, just for, just to show those areas that I have online, those are 3 areas where it's just lacking sidewalks. And so in view of doing that, we would just connect just those gaps. One of them is near Bella Sol, as you can see right here to your left. The other one is what would be, from the existing Finn's to Circles. That area would need a sidewalk there. And then across the street, that corner lot is actually owned by Hillsborough County, and it's a monitoring system, Tampa Bay Water or something. There's no sidewalks there, so it would be that. But again, that's the board discretion. And in terms of turn lane or anything like that, Michael Yates is here to answer any questions that you have or clarify anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, everybody from my district for being here today. You know, this area, I don't know if you all have a chance to go over there. I love Circles Restaurant and Finn's. You forgot Alpha. Well, it's not called Alpha Pizza anymore. It's another pizza place, but that also adds to it on certain days. But amazing food over there, and that's why it's so crowded. People park, especially on a Saturday and Sunday, all down that medium. I mean, going in front of condominiums and people. So I understand the disruption it causes, and that this is welcomed by the community to have this type of overflow. I guess, Mr. Gormley, I wanted to ask, on requesting the exception design, because it looks like that the applicant as well as the community doesn't necessarily want the 10-foot sidewalks. Is that's something that I can just make them move for approval and move to waive that particular design?
If it's the board's discretion, that's the recommendation of 10 feet. However, 5-foot sidewalk would be adequate. We do believe that it is important to fill in those gaps because pedestrians will be walking to that spot. But you know, the 10-foot was recommended just to have a greater utility and a wider area for people to traverse.
Sure.
However, it is the board's discretion, and if 5 feet is appropriate here, that certainly would be appropriate motion.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and there was a lot of issues Mr. Gormley brought up as to the U-turn, and certainly that's not part of this application, correct? So there's some mobility issues there that what I could do is make a commitment to come out there with development, a representative from Development Services, and we'll look at all that, but that's not necessarily part of this application, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so I'll make that commitment to you. Cassandra will come grab you all. But I'm going to move for approval with also, in conjunction with that, a waiver of and a design exception for the 5-foot sidewalks, but also filling in those gaps that the applicant basically requested.
Second. With the 5-foot in lieu of the 10-foot.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion by Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Commissioner Wilson?
It sounds like you don't need any more convincing, but I've been in, I didn't know it wasn't Alpha Pizza anymore. I've attended 30, 40 community meetings there the last 3 years. Congratulations to the owners of the restaurant for such a successful operation, but clearly they want to be good community partners because it's that local community that's making them thrive. So I'm happy to support them. And your turn lane, I already know that you absolutely need it, so I'll be supporting that if it does come up as well. So.
Okay, no other comments, please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, last item.
Brian, our last.
Commissioners, the next item is, excuse me, bear with me. Sorry. Next, final item is agenda item J1. This is a request by staff to approve immediate settlement proposal for a request for relief proceeding initiated by A&A Realty LSO concerning the BOCC's denial of RZPD 22-0719 on March 7, 2023. The parcel is located on the north side of US 91 in the Sefner Mango area, just west of McIntosh Road. The original requested approval was not recommended by approval. Planning Commission found an inconsistency for issues regarding non-compliance with locational criteria and non-compliance with the Setner Community Plan regarding location of retail uses on 92 outside of the urban service area. This is the original plan that was submitted as part of the zoning application. Based on the lack of compliance with commercial location criteria, because only portions of the property is within the node that's formed by McIntosh and US 92, and inconsistency with the community plan, it was found inconsistent. Staff likewise did not support it, and it was found not approvable by the hearing officer, which then resulted in not support by the board. As part of the mediation, the applicant made revisions to the plan to a slight reduction of the square footage, removed the balance of the buildings that were located outside of the node area, and basically, and also in addition to that, as further evaluation based on that community plan compliance, that given that this is a mini warehouse use, it was not considered a retail and therefore not in a violation of the community plan. Therefore, based on those reasons, Planning Commission is no longer objecting to this, and our staff is recommending the board approve the immediate settlement agreement, and staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the petitioner here? Good morning. You have a total of 10 minutes.
Is Mark Bentley, 400 North Ashley Drive, representing the petitioner. As a result of engaging in the dispute resolution process, it proved to be very productive and allowed us the opportunity to sit across the table and address some of the concerns that had been raised by staff in connection with the original petition. So some of the key changes are we limited the height to 35 feet, which is the standard for residential development, which is adjacent to the north. We reduced the number of buildings from 5 to 3 and shifted everything to the east toward Driscoll Farms, the intersection of 92 and McIntosh. Other changes, probably the most significant one, is we agreed to dedicate 23% of the land area for the project to the Florida Department of Transportation in connection with the forthcoming widening of the intersection of McIntosh and US 92. We're at the northwest quadrant. So I can make a presentation if necessary. Otherwise, I would respectfully request that you approve the recommendation of the special magistrate. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, it's my understanding we have at least one person that'd like to speak. Good morning. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name's Grace McComas. I live at 805 Old Darby Street, Sefner 33584. On March 7th, 22, the Board of County Commissioners, Hillsborough County, having considered the report and recommendations of the Hillsborough County Administration, the record of the hearing before the zoning hearing master, and the zoning hearing master's recommendation, and evidence and testimony from both the applicant and persons from the surrounding neighborhoods, finding that the rezoning of the subject property would not be consistent with the goals, policies, objectives contained in the comprehensive plan enacted by the Board of County Commissioners, Hillsborough County, and it lists a whole lot of areas involved with making that decision laws. They did request they did file a request for relief. Mediation was done. Concessions were agreed to for the site plan. Special magistrate prepared conditions of approval. Many of them are required for all rezonings. In opposition, currently there are now 7 mini warehouses within 5 miles or less from this site. Most are secured with fences and locked gates, so only the storage people renting the storage units and employees can get in. The need is not a concern in this rural area. Most people live on large acre properties. The commercial along Highway 92 for many years has been there for many years and have been grandfathered. The end user would be selling a space for a period of time to a customer, so it's a retail commercial use. What has changed in our goals, policies, and objectives contained in the comprehensive plan for you to change your vote 7-0 on March 7th, 2022 for denial? I'm urging you to deny this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And if I don't ever see any of you again, it's been a pleasure to be able to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McComas. I don't believe there's a Ms. Belcher here, right? Okay. All right, thank you. The petitioner has an opportunity for a rebuttal. Do you want to add anything?
Hi, Mark Bentley. Once again, not much to say. I just want to point out to the commission, it's a really challenging piece of property to develop. It has a depth of 200 feet and it's 900 lineal feet long, and I think you saw that on the site plan. So after complying with setbacks and here again, dedication of right-of-way, it's very limited. So the most reasonable use of the property was for mini storage. I think you heard Mr. Grady indicate also that contrary to what Ms. McComas said, it's not retail. It's more in the nature of light industrial, and that's the way it's been characterized historically through the rezoning process. It's not a retail type development. So unless you have any questions, here again, we'd appreciate your approval. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Owen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that would address my question because this is not retail now. That's part of the settlement, is that we have moved away from that into a non-retail situation, correct?
Commissioner, the use itself was reviewed, and it was originally characterized as being residential, but it is clarified now, and it is not a retail use. I'm sorry, I said residential. Retail is not a retail use. So the concern about compliance with the community plan requirement for location of retail uses is not an issue with this particular application. We believe it's consistent with the comprehensive.
Right, so what the settlement that has been put in place is not inconsistent with the plan now. Is that suffice to say?
That's correct. They have adjusted the location of the buildings. They have adjusted the layout and brought it into compliance with the commercial locational criteria. We believe that was a significant change for the proposed development.
I looked at the surrounding area. It's not a residential area surrounding it, correct? And
It is not, and we agreed that it would be challenging to develop that particular site and that location for a residential use, particularly with the future widening of US 92.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Ms. McCombs' comments, but, you know, to me, this now shows consistency within the area when you look around the area. So I'm just thinking as a board how we possibly don't approve this settlement when now it's consistent with the plan and definitely compatible with the surrounding area. Would you agree with that?
Yes, we would, sir.
Okay, great. I'll move for approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve the mediated settlement by Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Wostel. No other comments, please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Any other items?
That concludes our agenda. Thank you.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.